So I would suggest that you take a second to just take a deep breath, center yourself inside, come into your core feelings, your core awareness. Connect with that space in yourself, and then tell me about what you're dealing with and what you're going through in an honest way.
I'm crying already. I'm struggling with self love and self acceptance. Um, Mostly as far as my appearance goes. Yeah, I don't say very good things about myself to myself when I look in the mirror. I'm never satisfied. Um, like eating Chinese tonight and having a soft drink felt like a big deal and automatically makes me feel like I want to work out because I feel like I'm going to put on weight. Yeah, I'm just very conscious of my appearance.
So how do you experience this internally? Is this with you all the time? Is it only when you see your body's reflection? Is it with you constantly? What is it? Is it an internal dialogue? How are you experiencing it?
Mostly when I'm looking in the mirror and I just critique myself a lot.
Why?
Looking at parts of myself and I'm just never happy.
Why?
I don't know.
Why don't you love yourself? Why don't you like yourself?
I guess there's just like an image of what you think you should look like and be like, and an impossible standard.
According to who?
Society,
But
like the
society
media.
society isn't around you looking into the mirror. So
According to me, then.
so why do you put that upon yourself? Why do you hold yourself up to an impossible standard which hurts you and makes you feel bad internally? Why are you doing that? Why are you actively holding a razor sharp knife to your own eye and pushing it inside to yourself? Nobody has hold of your hand. Nobody is telling you to do that. Nobody is threatening you to do that if you If you don't do that, you're doing that. Why are you doing that? When it makes you feel bad, it makes you feel unhappy. Why are you doing that to yourself?
Because I don't love myself.
Why not? You don't love yourself because you don't meet up to this standard that you can't meet up to? Meet up to? Yeah. You don't love yourself because you can't meet the standard that you have set for yourself, which is impossible for you to meet, which is clearly a recipe for never being able to love yourself.
Mm.
I won't love myself because I can't fly. Until I can fly, until I grow wings and fly, I will never love myself. So I'll think about it all day, and every time I look in the mirror, I'll wish I had wings, and I'll want to fly, and I'll remind myself how stupid and horrible and ugly I am because I can't fly. Well, I'm going to live my life in misery. The rest of my life will be full of misery because I'm never going to have wings. I'm never going to be able to fly. It's an impossibility. So if I keep doing that to myself, clearly I will continue to make myself miserable. So are you doing that on purpose? Do you want to keep doing that? Do you want to hurt yourself?
No, I don't want to hurt myself, and I don't want to keep doing it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you so sure you don't want to keep doing that to yourself?
Because it's keeping me miserable. And I do deserve better than that, and I want to love myself.
Why do you deserve better?
Because I'm a little human being put down on this earth, in this body. And I deserve love. Just for that, really.
Do you deserve love?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah.
How are you so sure? How do you know you deserve love? Why do you deserve love?
um,
It's okay to love yourself, you know. It is, but it takes practice. When you haven't done it for a long time, or maybe you haven't had it, you haven't experienced it much from other people, or it's been a long time since you had it. Real love, it can be hard to accept, it can be hard to feel, it can be alien. So it can be weird when we start to do it to ourselves, which isn't really ourselves, but it's a part of us. The body, our psychology, our feelings, our sense of self. So tell me, why do you deserve love? Let's practice a little bit of self-love. In order to be able to love yourself, you're going to have to know why. If you don't know why you deserve love, you won't believe it. And you have to believe it too. You have to believe it. Because if you don't believe it, it's not real love. If somebody tells you that you love them, if somebody tells you that they love you, but you don't believe it, you won't be able to feel it. It might be true. They might really deeply love you. But if you don't believe it, you won't be able to feel it. So, when it comes to self-love, it's vital that you believe it. And to be able to believe it, you need to know why it's true that you deserve love. You need to know that, and really need to know it. So, see if you can practice. Tell me, why do you deserve to be loved?
You want me to reel off some things about myself?
Yes, some things about yourself that are worthy of love. Or a thing about yourself. Or you could tell me, I could tell you a fact of life that is irrelevant, not irrelevant, but it is an unconditional fact of life. That means it's relevant to everyone, not just you, as to why you deserve love, as to why everyone deserves love. But
Well, that was going to be my question. Like, doesn't everyone deserve love?
yes, they do. Everyone is love. It's what we are. We are that same force. That's why when we get very, very deeply in touch with ourself, if that's the way you want to put it, when we get very deeply in touch with the present moment, with awareness, call it, let's say, the core of our being, as opposed to the surface level kind of shit, the egotistical shit. As we get more and more in touch with our own heart, we fall more deeply in love with ourself and our life and the world and everyone in it, because we are falling more deeply into ourself and everyone in the world and everything in it. Because that's what we are. We are that. That's the greatest teaching of all. It's the greatest answer to all of the world's problems. Love, the real deal. It's what pulls people out of hell. God's love. It's what the absence of this connection to this kind of love is the source of so much, all of the misery and suffering and violence and self-hatred between human beings. If love was in there, those things couldn't happen. You can't hurt somebody that you truly deeply love. It's not possible. You would sacrifice your own life to save and protect that person because you love them so much. It's literally the very opposite of hurt. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off track, but yes, everybody does deserve to know themselves at that level. So, is that a good enough answer for yourself, though? Knowing that, or at least hearing that, and believing that, is that a good enough answer to help you, to allow you to love yourself? Or do you need a little bit of practice? Do you need to try it?
I think it's a pretty good answer, but we could try it.
Go on then. Do you know where to start?
Like, I'm kind. Is that a good start?
You are kind.
Mm.
And you can love yourself because you're kind.
Mm.
But would you love yourself if you were unkind? If you were accidentally unkind, or you were too, you'd had a bad day, you were a bit irritable, you were a bit emotional, and you accidentally said something to somebody and it upset them and you didn't really mean it, but you were a bit caught up in your own shit at the time. Would you walk away from that hating yourself because you were accidentally unconscious and unkind?
Maybe.
The reason I ask that is because when we're truly looking for the real deal of love, self-love, if we want to put it that way, let's just deal with our own, what we think is ourself, our body, our thoughts, our name. We can start with that. These bodies that we have and our psychology is subject to, it's not subject to, it's almost one with, let's just call it having a hard time. They suffer, these bodies, they struggle, they don't always see the big picture. Our psychology, our thoughts often miss the point, don't see the reality of what's going on, understand something incorrectly, say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Anyway, we do lots of amazing things too, but because our bodies operate this way, are we going to impose a standard upon ourselves before we're allowed to love ourselves? I must get everything right. I must get everything perfect. I must never make a mistake. And if I can maintain that standard, I must look a certain way. I must present a certain way. I must smell a certain way. And if I can present that way perfectly, then I'll be totally happy with myself and I'll be able to love myself. Good luck ever loving yourself under those circumstances, especially as you get older, especially when you have kids, and especially when you're stressed, and especially when you're, anyway, especially in 100 situations. So is that good enough? Is that what we're looking for?
No.
Why not? Why is that not good enough when it comes to love? Is that how you've been operating so far?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, ultimately, it doesn't work. It's not good enough because it doesn't work. It's not the real deal. It's what we call conditional love. It's temporary, and I'll only give you that love if you meet my expectations. If you want to put a lot of pressure on somebody, give them a very conditional kind of love, and they'll go insane, desperately trying to get you to love them, to get them. I've confused myself here with my language, but conditional love is not good enough. So, yes, you're kind, but can you go a bit deeper? Do you know where to start?
No.
But before we get into that, what's love? Because if we're going to talk about self-love, obviously we need to know what love is as well. I mean, I suppose getting a clear idea of self would be helpful, but that's probably that is a kind of long-term objective, really. Knowing self, knowing what is not self, but what it appears as self is the objective of the spiritual path, actually. But let's just start with love. What's your idea of love? If you're going to give it to yourself, then you need to know what it is, don't you? Are you in love in the moment in your life?
Yeah.
And what does that feel like? I know it's hard to put words on.
Feels light and warm and happy and just feels really good. I don't know.
And so, do you love this other person?
Yeah.
And how do you know? This is a hard question to ask. It's a very hard question to put into words. This person that you love, how do you feel about them?
Uh, like you just feel like you'd do anything to look after them and to care for them and to make them happy.
Right, that's a great place to start. Love is very mysterious. It's a thing that you feel, and very often you don't know why. It's a powerful force. You could say, well, this person is this and that, and they're that way. That just means they're easy to love. Somebody who's kind to you, somebody who's nice to you, somebody who's helpful, someone who makes you feel safe and protects you and supports you in life. People like that are very easy to love. The real love, though, is like you're here and you're in front of me. And when I look at you, I just want to give myself to you. And I don't know why, but you're amazing. And I'm fascinated by you. And I want to see you smile. And I don't know why, but it's part of me. It's like when you're in front of me, that's what comes out of me. And then I choose to give that to you and to shower you in that love because it makes me feel good too, and it makes you feel good, and it's good for everyone involved. And it's very wonderful. So can you access that same space in yourself? Because that feeling is coming from within you. It might come up more when that other person is around, but it's coming from within you. So why can't you access that space by yourself, for yourself? This other person that you look at, that you're in love with, it sounds like you don't put conditions upon them. You don't judge the way they look. You don't judge the way they act. You don't judge the way they do what they do. You just love them. You just want to nurture them, cherish them, support them, care for them, make them happy. That's coming from you. That's inside you, that want, that wish, that feeling, that love. That's your own resource. Why don't you give that to yourself as well?
That's a great question.
It sounds more like, if anything, you do the very opposite to yourself. It sounds more like you hold all of those feelings back, and instead you apply to yourself expectation and conditions that yourself must meet, almost promising yourself and saying, well, I will let you have that love, but only if you meet this certain criteria, which, as we've discussed, is an impossible to meet criteria. So you'll be holding yourself back from love forever. So, can you tune into that feeling now, that feeling of love? Can you find it in yourself? It'll be in there, but it might be deep. Are you feeling okay right now? You want to tell me what you're feeling?
Just emotional. Well, it's really sad that you hold all of these conditions over yourself. Put yourself under like impossible standards. That's a really sad way to be living.
Well, it is, that's right, but it's wonderful to admit it and to recognize it. It's wonderful to acknowledge, and it's very brave, and it's very challenging. It's very confronting to acknowledge that we've been doing this to ourselves. That's the first step. That's as close as you should ever get on the spiritual path. Self-hatred is a term we never use because hating yourself is pointless and oppositional. But there is an element of self-reflection and a bit of an uncomfortableness that comes with seeing what we have been doing to ourselves. That's as close as we get to. That's as close as anyone should get. Anyone who is wise. That's as close as you should ever get to self-hatred. It's not self-hatred by any means. But it's an honest acknowledgement of, wow, I've been hurting myself and I need to stop doing that because that's silly of me. It's unconscious behavior and it's not helping anyone. And it's really not helping me. In fact, it's holding me back tremendously from true freedom, true peace, true love. And not only that, but if that's going on inside us, it holds us back tremendously in our ability to receive love and to have powerful, free and loving relationships with other people. So to acknowledge it is a wonderful thing. And yeah, it's very brave. So, excuse me, talk to me a little bit about this feeling of love. Connect with it on the inside. Take a second to just go into that feeling. Are you holding a camera or something? Can you put the camera somewhere you don't have to hold it up or where it'll just sit there? Just for a second. Make yourself comfortable. So what we tend to do with this type of practice, because it's so alien to so many of us, when we practice something, it's good to give it all of our attention. And practice means, okay, I'm going to go into this internal space consciously and I want to get familiar with it and I want to explore it, and to do that very effectively so that I can get a full awareness of this and a full experience of this and learn and see as much as possible from it. It's good to practice it, to put put down distractions to focus into this space. So if we're going to practice self-love and we want to know what that is, we need to be able to relax and to forget about things going on outside, to forget about the world. Just for a while, we turn our phone off. We make sure the kids are fine in their rooms playing or whatever they're doing. And then we go in. So what is this love? Can you find it somewhere inside? How do you experience it internally? Are you having trouble connecting with it?
Yeah.
What are you experiencing right now?
Mm, like a fear that I can't find it. Or I don't have it.
What do you imagine it would feel like if you had it right now? What would you be feeling?
Mm, warm and fuzzy and um I don't know.
So go back to your description of how you said how you know you love this person in your life. When you imagine them,
Um feels like you'd do anything to take care of them and to look after them, to protect them, to support them.
and you're choosing to go with that feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you make a decision to allow yourself to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Those feelings may be coming up, but you're choosing not to resist them, not to fight them. You're choosing to allow yourself to feel those feelings and to let them spread out into the world onto that other person. Can you turn that around on yourself? That very same feeling. Can you hold yourself in the same light? Because that's it. We talk about everybody deserving love. Well, you're included. You want to love everybody else, and I would imagine you do a wonderful job at loving other people and caring for other people. Why can't you hold yourself in the same light? You can. Potentially, you can. It is possible. But you don't. Why not? Do you think maybe you just need to practice it more? Is it a new idea to you? Is it a new thought that you can do that? Like, did you know that you can hold yourself in the same light?
Yes, it is a new thought.
Most people think self-love means, I'm going to go for a massage today. I'm going to take some time out from work. I'm going to just chill out and do what I want to do. I'm going to relax more. All right, well, they're all very nice things to do for yourself. But they're conditional. When you can't take time off work, and you can't relax more, and you can't just do what you want to do for yourself, where does your love go? That version of it. It goes right out the window. It escapes you. It's conditional. Certain conditions must be met before you can access that state. That's not the real deal. The real deal is with you in every breath. It is an unconditional acceptance. You are that love, which means if you are fully here with yourself, what you call yourself. And now, for now, we're just talking about the body and your thoughts, which is not really yourself, but it's a part of you for sure. So if you are fully, because you are that love, to be here fully with yourself, but at all times, it's not a case of, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to love myself to death. I'm going to love the shit out of myself. So bad. Oh, I can't get enough of this self-love. And then I open my eyes and I see my reflection and I go, ugh, 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 ugh. Where did my love go? It got covered over with a view or a perception about my face or my teeth or my looks or my hair or my nose. Well, okay. Well, I mean, people think that way. But to take this wonderful force that you are in here and to concentrate it down onto an object like a grey hair is really quite primitive, actually. If we're talking about the force of awareness itself, which is monstrously massive in magnitude for what it can do, the power and potential of this spiritual experience, and condense it down to become obsessed over a grey hair.
Ridiculous.
Yes, true insanity, really. But it's nobody's fault. We could say, it's a habitual pattern of conditioned behavior that has built up through karma, etc., etc. But the good thing about all of this is it's all malleable and changeable to redirect awareness, to redirect attention upon new things, different experiences and sensations will recondition the mind in a different way, at which point you'll probably forget you even have hair, let alone a grey hair. So let's try and get back and bring it back to you on the inside. Go back in. Go back in. You can leave the camera wherever you want to, it's fine. The key with it is, I'd like to see your face though, if that's possible. Okay. It just helps me keep track of where you're at. So, take a second to go in. Go into this feeling of love. Go into this feeling of connection and acceptance. This want to help, this want to care. This wish and need and urge to make this other person happy and to do anything to support them, to love them deeply. And take that same force and turn it upon yourself. Allow yourself to love yourself. This total acceptance. This total relaxation. It's not conditional. There are no criteria to be met. You simply choose to give yourself that same energy. This is practicing self-love. So, how does that feel?
Really calming.
Does it feel like you can do it? Is there resistances? Is there an uncomfortableness to it at all? Does it feel natural? Does it feel like you can maintain that?
I feel like I want to. I feel like I don't want to be stuck in this misery anymore, and I don't want to be repeating these patterns and behaviors. So I want to tap into that space. I want to feel that.
So it's your body, it's your thoughts, it's your actions, it's everything that your body is doing at all times. I'm hesitant to say you because it's just the body we're talking about here. And the psychology. You are the thing in there that's seeing this happen. You're watching this. But to have that awareness and the strength to stand in that awareness at all times, well, for many of us it takes a long time to crystallize. And to maintain this, call it a perspective, the perspective of love, is tremendously challenging in the modern world. It's tremendously challenging anyway. But to always return to this absolute self-acceptance and self-love, which is healing, powerfully healing and relaxing, forgiving, welcoming, nourishing, supportive, and wise too. It's very, very objective, actually. It sees things for what they are. It sees the criticism in people when you see from this space of love, when you encounter people and you encounter circumstances, this same love will very easily identify that critical misery, that entity of misery, the one that shows up with all of its opinions and egoic, confining, narcissistic, putrid world views and self views that tends to spit control and aggression. Anyway, without going too far into it, this powerful love very quickly identifies that force and wants to remove it, because it knows that thing will spread misery everywhere it goes. And so it wants to overwhelm that force, and it'll try to do that with love. And if that thing is unreachable, unfortunately, if that person or that thing or that situation has gone so deep, it's cut itself off from love, then love will just turn away. It'll never destroy, it'll never hurt, it can't. It only wants to love. It wants to help. But some people cut themselves off from that, and so it'll just turn away. Anyway, that's another bit of a sidetrack, but to practice returning to this pure acceptance of self, and to smile in that and to enjoy that, and to be with that, and to be with that part of us that suffers. Well, that's the practice. That's the homework going forward. And again, you might be able to practice that in a space of meditation, which is where you start. Sorry, not a space of meditation, but a space of sitting with your eyes closed. Let's say programming. It's contemplation and self-hypnosis to condition these natural processes, to the point where they become very natural and automatic. I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, it's not meditation, but to step into this conscious process and to continue to look deeply into meditation, where we return back to this love anyway, the source of this love, if you want to put it that way, the heart of this love. You may be able to maintain it with your eyes closed in a space of self-hypnosis, but then you're walking through the day and all of a sudden you do something. You might drop a cup, or maybe you burn the toast, and all of a sudden your self-critical quality jumps to the forefront and starts cursing you, blaming you, critiquing you. And it's those moments, or you might walk past a a window and just catch a glimpse of your reflection and think, oh, my belly doesn't look great, or my bum doesn't look great, or my hair doesn't look great, and it starts attacking you again based off of these little perceptions. So we start to practice just to get acquainted with this awareness in a kind of relaxed, closed eyes, non-distracted, non-busy, non-active space. And then throughout our practice and our training, which really does take a long time, usually it takes a few years, you've got to get very strong with this sort of thing. The effect is immediate, but to learn to maintain this and to get confidence with this takes a long time. It has to be honed and refined over many years. This is the domain of mastery. Anyway, so you learn to get to know this feeling in an isolated space, and then to carry it with you into the world, and to overwhelm this disgusting, critical, really quite evil, actually. If you follow that part of you that is overly critical and judgmental, if you were to maximize that and make it the strongest force in your being, you'd be a horrendous person, a horrible person. You would cause a great deal of misery in your life and other people's lives. We call it evil, although, it is what it is. It's putrid anyway. To dominate that force with the spirit of love, well, that's the warrior's journey. That's what that is. And it's tough going, especially in the modern world, which is so full of, well, so much unloving energy. Let's just put it that way. Right, so let's just get a grip on how much you've absorbed in this. Tell me what you know, based off what we've just talked about and what you've just experienced. What are you going to do about this situation that you're in? What are you going to work on?
I'm gonna work on giving myself the same love that I give.
You've disconnected. Yeah, fill me in. After this talk, what have you come to realize anything? Have you come to understand anything better? Have you got a clear idea as to what you can do going forward, what you can do differently? Take a second to absorb that question, to look into it. Where are you at now?
Well, I know that I want to give myself that love. I know that I can return to that place within myself. I can wake up tomorrow and make a choice.
Good. All right. So you know what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what you're going to do. And the fundamental part of this, and we'll end it here, is to go in deeply into this space, because it's you. It's all just you that's in here.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting with this love in this space, which is just you, it's what you are. This light of love then shines out, And it'll include this body. It'll include this psychology. It'll include the world and everyone you meet. And so the fundamental call it a practice is to go into this space of a very complete awareness, a very loving awareness, a very whole awareness, and get very accustomed to that and to what it is, because it's profoundly deep and subtle and powerful. And I'll say this to end it. It's a fundamental weirdness to this whole awareness thing that hold on. Just trying to think how to word this stuff. It's hard to put into words. You can maintain this awareness of love, and within the illusion of it all, it's possible to get entangled in so many things that make your love limited and fragmented. Let's say they overwhelm your love, but they don't really, because at any point you can turn away from those things, and this love is still there. So it's never lost, it's never overwhelmed. But there are a great deal of things in this world that will, let's just say, pull you away from the love that you are in there. So it's suggested that you spend a lot of time getting accustomed just with yourself in this space. Get to know this space. That is the truest form of self-love. And then as that becomes very strong, it will realize that it can maintain that in the face of opposition, in the face of adversity, in the face of some of the more corrupt and disgusting elements of this world. And at that point, your love is becoming a powerful force